Hello, it is 9 p.m. in RTD's Time to English New Edition. For tonight headlines we have the head of state presides over the fourth meeting of the Council of Ministers. The ceasefire in Gaza prevent famine but break-ins it will be dangerous. Welcome to our newsroom. Under the chairmanship of His Excellency Ismail Omar Guelleh, President of the Republic and Head of Government, the fourth meeting of the Council of Ministers was held on Tuesday, 11 February 2025. The following texts were examined and approved. Listen for more details. The acting government spokeswoman, Olufa Ismail Abdo.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Sous la présidence de son Excellence, M. Ismail Omar Guelleh, président de la République et chef de gouvernement, a eu lieu ce mardi 11 février 2025.
The Ministry of Labour, responsible for formalization and social protection, has introduced a draft law proposing partial amendments to Article 113 of the Labour Code. This draft law aims to modify and supplement Article 113 of Law Number 130, enacted during the 5th Legislature of January 28, 2006, which established the Labour Code as amended by Law Number 51/119 of the 8th Legislature on 4th of July 2019. Article 113 addresses the right to maternity leave for pregnant women and the payment of benefits during this period. The amendment introduced by Law Number 51 of 2019 marked a significant advancement of Djiboutian women by extending the duration of maternity leave and setting the base period for calculating social security contributions under the family benefits scheme at 400 Djiboutian francs. The Ministry of Justice and Penitentiary Affairs, responsible for human rights, has proposed a draft decree to establish a national steering committee for the development and implementation of a national action plan on business and human rights. This draft decree seeks to create an institutional framework for managing the national action plan, ensuring compliance with the United Nations guiding principles on business and human rights. These principles, adopted by the Human Rights Council in its resolution 17/4 on June 16, 2011, implement the Protect, Respect, and Remedy framework developed by the United Nations Secretary General Special Representative on Human Rights and Transitional Cooperations and other business enterprises. The objective of this initiative is to raise awareness among economic actors, both private and participal, about the importance of respecting human rights in their operations. It builds on existing legislation in this area and aims to strengthen the national legal framework. Additionally, actions taken in this domain will be subject to periodic human rights reports. The draft decree provides for the creation of two key structures: the steering committee chaired by the Ministry of Justice, which will be responsible for drafting, amending, and updating the National Action Plan, overseeing its implementation and submitting an annual progress report to the government, and the Business and Human Rights Advisory Forum, which will serve as a monitoring and support body for the steering committee. The proposed regulatory framework aims to enhance cooperation among various departments and organizations involved, ensuring a coordinated and effective approach to cross-cutting issues related to business and human rights. Furthermore, the Ministry of Economy and Finance, responsible for industry, has proposed a draft decree on the continuing professional training of certified public accountants, which was reviewed by the Council under Article 67 of Law Number 53/19 of the 8th Legislature on July 4, 2019. This draft decree aims to establish a precise regulatory framework for the continuing of professional training of certified public accountants registered with the Djibouti Order of Certified Public Accountants. The text defines the obligations of certified public accountants regarding the maintenance and enhancement of their knowledge and skills. It introduces an annual mandatory continuing training requirement with eligible activities determined by the General Assembly of the OECD. Certified public accountants must demonstrate compliance with this obligation through an annual declaration as specified in the text, enable an effective oversight by the OECD. The adoption of this draft decree will enhance the skills of professionals in this field, thereby boosting climate and economic partner confidence. This initiative aligns with the OECD's commitment to meeting international standards in this area. The draft decree also addresses the principles and modalities for implementing quality control measures for the certified public accounting professions in the Republic of Djibouti. Another text introduced by the Ministry of Economy and Finance, responsible for industry, in accordance with Articles 894 and 95 of Law Number 53/19 of the 8th Legislature on July 4, 2019, extends the provisions of Decree Number 2022-127 regulating the internal organizations and operations of the Djibouti Order of Certified Public Accountants, particularly Article 58, which calls for the adoption of specific regulations on quality control. This draft decree implements existing legal provisions that impose, on the one hand, a quality control obligation on members of the order, and on the other hand, a supervisory of the Commission and the procedures for elected its members, ensuring balance and commitment representation of the profession. Additionally, the text sets out a rigorous methodological framework for conducting quality controls, determining their efficacy based on a risk-based approach. Thus, firms with a high level of risk will be subject to at least one annual control.
Several bills were examined and approved. Listen for more details. Once again, the acting spokesperson of the government, Ulufa Ismail Abdo.
La cinquième question, examinée en Conseil des ministres en ce jour, c'est le projet de décret portant organisation du premier recensement général des entreprises de la République de Djibouti.
The fifth item discussed in today's Council of Ministers meeting was the draft decree of organizing the first general census of businesses in the Republic of Djibouti. This decree establishes the framework for the first general census of businesses, marking a significant milestone in the collection of economic data for the country. The census, which will take place over the period 2004-2005, will cover all economic units in both the formal and informal sectors operating across the national territory. To facilitate this, the draft decree outlines the organizational structure for the census, which includes a National Statistics Commission, a steering committee, a technical committee, and an execution unit. Additionally, the Ministry of Youth and Culture submitted a draft decree for the creation of a national committee for the UNESCO Memory of the World Program. The sixth item on the Council of Ministers agenda proposed this draft decree, which establishes a national committee under the Ministry of Youth and Culture, named the Memory of the World Community. The UNESCO Memory of the World Program, established in 1992, aims to preserve humanity's documentary heritage, including archives, manuscripts, rare books, sound records, and films and other materials essential to collective memory. The National Committee's mission will be to contribute to the implementation of this program in Djibouti, with the primary objective of protecting and facilitating access to documents of cultural and historical value, often threatened by aging, natural disasters, conflicts, or neglect. This draft decree follows recommendations from the regional workshop on the Memory of the World Program held in Djibouti from October 17 to 18, 2023. The seventh item on the Council of Ministers agenda examined a draft order for the retrocession of a plot of land located in the Marjoug to the benefit of the company Oxtec. Based in Zug, the draft order concerns the recultivation of a 5,000 square meter plot of land intended for the establishment of an entomological research center and vector control facility. The eighth item addressed the draft order allocating a plot of land in the Sonfil area to the company Sky Construction. The draft order allocates a 25,000 square meter plot of land in the Sonfil zone to Sky Construction for the development of a mid-range residential project with integrated recreational spaces. The ninth item on the agenda involved a draft decree concerning appointments. The following individuals were appointed: Mr. Musa Muhammad Musa and Mrs. Adan Mahmoud as technical advisors to the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mr. Abubakar Yusuf Hamadou as technical advisor to the Minister of Urban Planning and Housing, Mr. Hussein Rabli as technical advisor to the Minister of Environment and Sustainable Development, and Mr. Idris Ismail Noor as Director of Environment. The Council of Ministers meeting concluded with several communications. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, acting as the government spokesperson, provided a report on the participation of the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, via video conference in the meeting of the Heads of State and Government Orientation Committee on the new Partnership for Africa's Development, now known as the African Union Development Agency. The summit focused on assessing the progress of African countries in achieving the goals outlined in Agenda 2063. During the meeting, the President delivered a speech outlining a series of suggestions and recommendations on ways to significantly enhance Africa's economic, social, and political transformation. The Minister of Economy and Finance, responsible for industry, presented a communication on the findings of the National Report on Climate and Development. This report serves as a diagnostic tool for addressing climate change, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, and assessing their impacts on key economic indicators to evaluate and establish associated financial needs. The Climate and Development Report aims to identify strategies for achieving development goals while adapting to climate change and reducing emissions. It also highlights opportunities for climate action and growth. The report underscores that climate change could reduce Djibouti's real GDP by up to 6% by 2050 due to costs related to climate disasters, agricultural losses, and disruptions to essential economic services, equivalent to 4 years of economic growth. Socially, climate impacts exacerbate existing inequalities with rural communities, heavily reliant on agriculture and livestock, disproportionately affecting by drought and land degradation. Finally, the Council of Ministers, led by the President of the Republic, issued an official statement ahead of the upcoming election. The government, under the leadership of His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, reiterated its full support for His Excellency Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf candidacy for the chairmanship of the African Union Commission, with the election scheduled for Saturday, February 15, 2025, beyond the unanimous support for the government. This candidacy enjoys the unwavering backing of the Djiboutian people, as demonstrated by the enthusiastic support shown during rallies across the country, including in the interior regions. His exceptional track record, diplomatic expertise, and steadfast commitment to African integration and development make him an ideal candidate for this high office. Through this candidacy, the Republic of Djibouti reaffirms its commitment to a strong, united, and forward-looking African Union. This election represents an opportunity to promote an ambitious vision for the youth and the continent, championed by a leader whose competence and maturity are recognized beyond national and continental borders. The Djiboutian government and the entire population extend their best wishes for success to the candidate in this important endeavor. His victory would not only be an individual achievement, but also a source of pride for Djibouti and a significant step forward for Africa, illustrating the continent's unity and determination to build a prosperous and inclusive future.
At the invitation of the President of the French Republic, His Excellency Emmanuel Macron, the Prime Minister, His Excellency Abdulkader Kabil Mohammed, took part in the Summit for Actions on Artificial Intelligence, which is being held in Paris from 6 to 11 February 2025. During the official dinner organized at the Élysée Palace in honor of the head of state and government, Djibouti's Prime Minister underlined in his speech the major challenges linked to artificial intelligence for African nations and the need for an inclusive and equitable approach to technological development. Artificial intelligence as a lever for transformation in Africa. In his speech, His Excellency Abdulkader Kamil Mohammed highlighted the immense opportunities offered by artificial intelligence for the African continent, particularly in the field of education, health, financial inclusion, and industrialization. He called for Africa not just to be a consumer of solutions developed elsewhere, but also a key player and active contributor in this strategic field. The Prime Minister also stressed the need for an ethical and regulatory framework guaranteeing digital sovereignty, data protections, and accessibility of technologies for all. With this in mind, Djibouti's full support continental initiatives such as the creations of the African Councils for Artificial Intelligence, designate to structure the actions of African countries and make their voice heard in the global governance of digital technology. He made the case for Africa, emphasizing the opportunities offered by artificial intelligence in a wide range of fields, while pointing out that Africa is already equipped by its talents and its youth, that this summit is keen to forge win-win partnership. A tense but forward-looking summit, the summit is taking place against a backdrop of tensions between players in the cultural and media sectors and the French government, with some criticizing President Emmanuel Macron for failing to commit to more stringent and transparent regulations requiring artificial intelligence manufacturers disclose contents in order to train their software. In the face of this debate, Djibouti's participation in this summit is part of a vision of balance and dialogue with the ambitions of guaranteeing an equitable sharing of the benefits of digital technologies between North and South. The Prime Minister stressed the importance of the closer cooperation between Africa and its international partners to make artificial intelligence a driver of shared prosperity towards a shared commitment to an inclusive digital revolution. And Paris scientists call for a responsible artificial intelligence and on the first day of the international summit in Paris, several Mark Surman, president of Mozilla, which is taking place in the event, said that developing ideas to make artificial intelligence safer should be a priority, and we are introducing a technology that even more than the internet will transform our economy, our society, and our democracy. At the moment, this summit may seem a little awkward, as if we are still finding our way, but we need a space to reflect as humanity, as a global communities, and on the directions we want to take, if even the last summit was not perfect. As part of his official visit to the Russian Federation, Dileta Mohammad Dileta, President of the National Assembly, of the Republic of Djibouti today meet Miss Valentina Matvienko, President of the Council of the Federations, President of the Senate of the Russian Federation in Moscow. On the sidelines of the meeting, Mr. Dileta Mohammed Dileta signed the Golden Book of the Federation Council, marking the solemnity of the visit and the importance of relations between the two parliamentary institutions. This high-level meeting, held in a warm and constructive atmosphere, enabled both parties to discuss ways of strengthening parliamentary relations between Djibouti and Russia. Discussions focused on issues of common interests, including bilateral cooperation in the economic, education, cultural spheres, as well as the global challenges facing the two nations. Valentina Matvienko reaffirmed the Russian Federation's commitment to deepen relations with Djibouti and supporting joint initiatives to promote peace and development. For his part, Dileta Mohammed Dileta expressed the Republic of Djibouti's gratitude for Russia's constant support in various international forums and underscored the importance of strengthening the ties of friendship and cooperation between the two countries. The meeting was also marked by an exchange of symbolic gifts between the two parties, testifying to the friendship and mutual respect that unite the two nations. With the visit to Moscow, the State Historical and Cultural Museums by His Excellency Dileta Mohammed Dileta, President of the National Assembly of the Republic of Djibouti, during his official visit to the Russian Federation, Dileta Mohammed Dileta, accompanied by a large delegation, visited the Moscow Kremlin State Historical and Cultural Museums. During the visit, the Djibouti delegation had the opportunity to discover the Diamond Fund, which houses a priceless treasury from the Russian crown, as well as the Chamber of Arms, full of historical objects bearing witnesses to the splendor of the Russian dynasty. The visit also took in the Cathedral Square, an emblematic site in the Kremlin where architectural monuments of great historical and religious value stand. The visit took place in an atmosphere of respect and cooperation, testifying to the excellent relations between the parliamentary institutions of the two countries. This morning, Monday, 10 February, the Minister Delegate for Decentralization, Qasim Harun Ali, inaugurated two infrastructure projects carried out by the Arta Regional Council as part of the ADIR program funded by the European Union. The Minister was welcomed in a festive atmosphere by a jubilant crowd, first in Wea, then in Arta. The administrative authorities of the Arta's regions, namely the Prefect and the President of the Regional Council, were the first to welcome the ministers and accompany him to the end of the ceremony as required by the welcome protocol. The first councillors of the French ambassador took part in the ceremony to represent the European Union, which financed the project. To be inaugurated in Wea, the minister inaugurated a crafts houses dedicated to the local women's artisan. The houses will serve as a place to make a store and sell crafts products. The building of these houses is part of a regional policy to develop the craft industry, enhance the values of the craft trade, promote family entrepreneurship, and give women in the villages of Wea financial independence. In Artasville, the minister inaugurated a bus station that will now provide transport operators with an appropriate infrastructure for organizing transport activities and improving the services are provided to the population. These two projects will bring a clear improvement in the living conditions of the populations and will also boost the regional economy. These infrastructure projects are part of an overall regional development policy that stems from the missions entrusted to the minister by the President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh. In his speech, the Minister of Decentralization thanked the local community of Wea and Arta and for the warm welcomes he had received. He then thanked the European Union for its ongoing support for the decentralization process in Djibouti. Finally, the Minister congratulated the Arta Regional Council on its success in implementing all the projects in the ADIR program. The 6th Arab Regional Platform for Disaster Risks Reduction was held in Kuwait City from 10 to 12 February 2025, organized by the United Nations Offices for Disaster Risk Reduction. the Republic of Djibouti took an active part in this major regional event, and our country's delegation was led by His Excellency Abdul Qadir Hussein Omar, Ambassador of the Republic of Djibouti to the State of Kuwait, who was accompanied by Ahmed Mohammed Madar, Executive Secretary for Risks and Disaster Management, Mohammed Ismail Noor, Director General of the National Meteorological Agency, Samir Adan Sheikh, Senior Technological Advisor at the Ministry of Economy and Finance in charge of Industry, Ali Abdullah Dabale, Head of Protocol Areas at the Ministry of Environment and Sustainable Development. The official opening was attended by a number of high-ranking personalities, including ministers from the Arab world and more than 600 participants. Abdul Qadir Omar Hussein, Ambassador of the Republic, addressed the ministerial conference, highlighting the importance of the meeting as an essential platform for reaffirming the commitment of Arab countries to disaster risk reduction. Under the aegis of the State Secretariat for Sports, the Federation's opens door of tennis to pupils at Ma'arif. As part of its ambitious program to popularize tennis, the Djibouti Tennis Federation, with the support of the State Secretariat for Sports, organized an open day for pupils at Ma'arif School. The event, packed with educational and fun activities, gave youngsters the chance to discover the fundamentals of the sport under the supervision of the Federation technicians and coaches. Total immersion for the youngsters at the heart of the Gabod Tennis Center. The pupils were introduced to the different stages of tennis, from racket handling to serving techniques and double strategies. Interactive workshops were led by coaches trained at the Play Tennis course, a program supported by the International Tennis Federation to strengthen local technical skills. A strong institutional commitment. This initiative is part of the drive spearheaded by the Federation's President Suge Ibrahim. For the international scene, ceasefires in Gaza avoid famines, but breaking it will be dangerous. Listen for more details.
The ceasefire averts famine, but breaking it will be dangerous. Tom Fletcher, the UN's humanitarian chief, says famine has largely been averted in Gaza thanks to the flow of aid into the territory during the fragile ceasefire. However, he warns that the threat could quickly return if the trust fails. Fletcher also called for an acceleration of a delivery of tents and shelters for residents returning home as winter continues. The ceasefire and prisoner swap deal came into the effect on 19 January. In the first four exchanges, 583 Palestinians held in Israeli prisons were released in exchange of 13 Israeli and 5 state prisoners held in Gaza. Under the terms of the deal, which include 3 phases, more than 1,900 Palestinian and 33 Israelis are expected to be released during the first phase, which is scheduled to last 40 days.
Donald Trump imposes 25% tariffs on all steel and aluminum imports. Listen for more details.
Donald Trump has signed an executive order to formalize the imposition of a 25% tariff on all steel and aluminum imports by the United States. The measure is scheduled to go into effect on March 4, according to the White House. Canada is the largest supplier of steel and aluminum to the United States, followed by Brazil, Mexico, South Korea, and Vietnam. According to the American Iron and Steel Institute, Canada is also a major supplier of aluminum to the United States. Donald Trump did, however, confirm that he is considering an exemption for Australia after Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has said so, because the American president said it has a trade subsidy from a third country which will be hit with the same tariff as those imposed on American products in that country.
And this is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.